What's going on, guys? This is Rob, and I apologize ahead of time. You might hear some beating in the background. They're actually doing some construction here at the office. But you guys have been asking me to make videos talking about Peacemaker, and I didn't know you guys were interested in that, but yeah, I would love to talk about Peacemaker. So let's kind of do a bit of a recap, right? Kind of a review, at least in the first 3 episodes. If you guys want me to do kind of an episodic review as each episode comes out, or I don't know, maybe do like a breakdown or something like that, let me know down in the comments section, right? What do you guys want to see me do in relation to Peacemaker, right? So, yeah, let's talk about it. In all honesty, I don't really want to be a negative Nancy here. And even if I was going to be, there really isn't much to be negative about, right? In terms of the question, what do I dislike about the Peacemaker show? There really isn't anything to dislike about this show. I mean, no show's perfect, but there really isn't a whole lot to gripe about. I mean, I think it's got great pacing. I think that the tone is great. So I guess the real question here is, what do I like about this show? Well, first things first, it's amazing. Peacemaker is phenomenal. In terms of John Cena, right, as Peacemaker, one of the funny things about this is he's basically his own comedic relief. I mean, Vigilante is also a comedic relief of sorts, but it's rare that you ever see the main star of a show or a movie being their own comedic relief, at least in relation to comic book TV shows and movies. I mean, you get it occasionally, right? Like Deadpool or something like that. But if you look at Ant-Man, right? The character of Luis, right? Played by Michael Pena, he's basically the comedic relief for the film. And Paul Rudd is the main star of the Ant-Man films, which, by the way, I'm gonna put this out there. Surely I'm not the only one who wants to see a movie where Deadpool and Luis team up. Come on. Tell me that would not be absolutely magical. It would be magic. God, it would be phenomenal, right? That movie would be absolutely hilarious. But back on point, let's kind of talk about the individual characters and the story so far, right? So the whole thing with the butterflies, I saw a lot of reviews online where people were like, I mean, this is a pretty basic and stupid plot, but in all honesty, I think it's perfect. The great thing about Peacemaker, especially coming out of the Suicide Squad, when we were introduced to his character, is that he's a character that you can't really take seriously. You do, but you don't, right? You almost kind of see him as like a goof or a buffoon. And when you go into the Peacemaker show, you pretty much see him the exact same way that you saw him coming out of Suicide Squad, right? He's very Batman-esque. You guys remember that meme, the Batman meme, where Batman's like, I cherish my no-killing rule. I don't care how many men, women, and children have to die in order for me to keep it. Like that kind of a thing, right? The little moments there that you got that, sure, he was cool and he had some intense moments, and when it comes down to it, Peacemaker's the guy you want on your side. But those small little glimpses of there being something beyond him just being buffoonish could only really be expanded on here in the show. And as you're watching this, you start to learn there's a lot that goes on here. Once you actually meet Robert Patrick and you meet his dad, then as soon as I saw his dad, and as soon as you're introduced the tone and how his dad acts and all that kind of stuff, my thought was John Cena's character never had a chance, right? Being raised by that guy, he never had a chance of normal life. I mean, literally, he was taught to be a killer since the day he was born. But there's a big difference between hearing Amanda Waller say that and then actually meeting his dad and realizing, oh yeah, I mean, it's not as though his dad was doing it to protect him or teach him how to be safe in a world that was otherwise chaotic, filled with all kinds of people with powers. No. Robert Patrick's character is just a dick. So literally he just taught his son how to kill because he's just a really crappy person. So there's a little bit of drama there, right? You look at that and you're like, damn, I mean, he never really had a chance at a good childhood. His dad stole that from him. In terms of Robert Patrick's character, I'm really excited to see where they go with that, right? The whole white dragon thing, when he's arrested and he's sitting in jail, and you think those guys that see him are gonna kill him, and then they get over to him, they bend down on one knee and they're like, white dragon, and I was like, okay, so this is crazy. Admittedly, even though I've been reading comic books for a long time, I don't really know a whole lot about Peacemaker. So in a lot of ways, I'll probably have to end up going back and doing a whole bunch of research, right? Just looking up a whole bunch of stuff, reading some old comics from, 40 years ago and all that kind of good stuff, right? Sort of, get myself caught up on the Peacemaker mythos. But I don't know how accurate the depiction of his father is to the comics. And even in the context of the show, it doesn't matter, right? The character of Robert Patrick is great. So I'm really excited to see what direction they end up going in. The other funny thing, and I'm pretty sure I got this, that I have this correct, right? Leota's the daughter of Amanda Waller, right? That's the whole thing behind her. She's the daughter of Amanda Waller, but no one knows. I'm excited to find out what's gonna happen when everybody else finds out. But the other great thing about this is that as different as this is, in a lot of ways, it's also very familiar, right? Clemson is, by all standard of measurement, a mini Amanda Waller. Not nearly as brutal as Amanda Waller was, not nearly as cold-hearted as Amanda Waller, but like the mission has to be accomplished. I don't care who you kill, the mission has to go on, right? When you have that scene before you knew that the kids were possessed and you have like the whole family in the house, like literally Clemson is like, take the shot. And it's just like, damn, he's gonna tell Peacemaker to like kill some kids, which is like a crazy thing. But like he tells him like, take the shot. Even if you have to take them out, it's collateral damage, whatever, right? Small price to pay to take out what is or what will be a massive threat, which turns out to be a huge threat because literally these things are all over the world, right? Like it's spread all across the world. But again, you know, it's things like that that really, I don't really think do a whole lot in terms of Clemson. I mean, they build him up, right? And they offer an explanation there. It builds up Peacemaker because like this guy who puts on this persona, right? I care about peace. I don't care how many men, women, and children I have to kill in order to get it, right? Suddenly you realize he's full of shit, right? Like literally he's standing there with a sniper rifle and you would think a guy who's so dedicated to peace, right? Who doesn't care who has to die in order for him to get it. You think he would have just been like, clear shot, bam, right? And that's it, right? This kids don't matter. But he's like hesitating, like he can't do it. And in fact, Vigilante ends up being the one to step up to do it in the first place. So, or I guess really after Peacemaker. So that kind of depth, right? The idea that like there's a little more, right? The more you peel back, the more you realize there is to peel back is phenomenal development for John Cena's character. But again, overall, in terms of the show, here's what's so great about this, right? Peacemaker is a show that we needed. And here's the reason why. Those of you guys who have been watching comic book movies, TV shows for a pretty long time, you guys know about this kind of stuff. For those of you guys who are new to it, what makes shows like Peacemaker and even Invincible and movies like Deadpool different is that it is the Deadpool effect, right? I mean, this happens across all forms of medium, but in relation to like comic books, for example, in the early 1990s, comic books were like fast-paced, high-octane, hyper-violent, right? Cable, GW Bridge, X-Force, right? People with pockets and tech and all that kind of stuff. But every character basically felt the same. Even Spider-Man was all like tech and all that kind of stuff. Like Spider-Man 2099 and different things along those lines. Deadpool fell rank and file with all those guys, right? New Mutants issue number 98, created by Rob Liefeld, Fabian Nicieza. He's every character from that time period ever. But then you get to the late 1990s and Joe Kelly starts writing it and then starts writing it from like a dark humor perspective. Then Gail Simone and then Christopher Priest, who's actually the one that made Deadpool breaking the fourth wall the really popular element. But Deadpool was different. He was wholly different from virtually anybody else who was out there. And that differing element is what drove people to latch onto him because it was something that you just didn't readily see. And he's been a mainstay ever since. When you look at Invincible, you look at Peacemaker, you look at the Irredeemable movie or show, whatever it is gonna be coming out soon. If you guys never looked up Irredeemable, that thing is amazing. It's basically the answer to like what would happen if Superman basically became a hero, but then was corrupted by his own hero worship and then became a bad guy. It's great, right? He's called the Plutonian. Technically, he's not really called Superman, but like Irredeemable is getting like a whole thing. When you look at stuff like that, it's a breakaway from the norm, right? As much as I love the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you can set your watch to an MCU movie. The difference between a movie like The Eternals and a movie like Spider-Man No Way Home is that the formulaic method of the Marvel Cinematic Universe movie method can be felt in Eternals. You feel it when you sit down and you watch Eternals. Yes, it looks pretty, right? And yes, the writing's really nice, all that kind of stuff, but like you feel the standard 3-act narrative from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, right? The setup, the conflict, and the resolution. You just see it all over the place. When you watch Spider-Man No Way Home, it's there, but it's masked by like Andrew Garfield jumping through a portal, ripping his mask off and everybody losing their minds. And it's masked by like Dr. Octopus showing up on the bridge and fighting Tom Holland, right? The Green Goblin and Spider-Man getting into a fight in the hallway or the death of Aunt May. It's covered by all of those like really big and hype and exciting elements. And so when you look at those for what they are, they're pretty formulaic. But then you come across Peacemaker, right? Which in a lot of ways violates and really flies in the face of the standard of what you're used to when it comes to comic book movies and shows and things like that. And that's what makes it great. That's what makes it so fun and so exciting. So I absolutely love Peacemaker. I adore this show, right? I am so excited for it. And I'm excited to see where it goes. Do I think we're gonna get a season 2? I don't know. I haven't seen the news on whether or not a season 2 has been approved for Peacemaker. I have to believe that given the level of popularity that it's getting in terms of just great reviews, it probably will, but I don't know the numbers. At the end of the day, that's what it really comes down to, right? I mean, if 5 people watch Peacemaker and they all say this is the greatest show ever, it's not gonna mean much in the face of the fact then only 5 people watched it, right? It's not worth the amount of money that they're spending, right? Like, how much money are they getting back in terms of new people subscribing to HBO Max to watch Peacemaker versus people who are just already subscribed and are watching it, right? How much more money is it generating? That's the question they want to have an answer to. So if you guys know, let me know down in the comment section if you guys know how many people are actually watching Peacemaker, right? If it's like a super well-watched show, or if it's just like a few people here and there. I don't really know. I mean, it's not really a number I'm gonna go and research on my own. I'm just kind of curious. But regardless, yeah, Peacemaker's phenomenal. I absolutely love it. But let me know down in the comment section if you guys want us to do more Peacemaker stuff, right? Episode breakdowns and different things like that. Easter eggs, stuff you missed, right? Because the Peacemaker mythos is something I'm a little fuzzy about. The DC mythos, I'm pretty damn knowledgeable on. So I could find all kinds of little Easter eggs and different things like that across the show, right? Because there's Shazam Easter eggs in the first 3 episodes, right? There's references to Superman, right? There's Batman Easter eggs, some Wayne Enterprises stuff that appears in there. So let me know if you guys want to see those kinds of things in the future videos that we do on Peacemaker. But thank you all for watching, and I will catch you all later. Peace.